I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shooting Show, and welcome to today's program, friends. It's a beautiful day to be out in the outside, a frosty fall morning here in northwest Louisiana, and remember, there's not a bad day to be out shooting. Some are a lot better than others. This is one of the best ones, let me tell you. Friends, I enjoy coming down here to the range anytime, but you know what? We're in danger of losing our right, not a privilege, our right of shooting our guns anywhere. Hunting or target shooting or self-defense, doesn't matter. We're in danger of losing that. We have a lot of things to cover on today's program, but today we have a feature on hand loading that I think is very important. If you have not considered loading your own ammunition in the past, now would be a good time to start. Certainly you should be buying factory ammo. If you can afford it, I would put back as much, several thousand rounds if I could afford to. You need a minimum of any gun that you consider that you may have to use in self-defense. You need a minimum of 1,000 rounds, because it may become very, very difficult to buy ammunition at all. Realize a lot of things can happen. We were talking with Larry Nichols the other day, and he mentioned to me that if Bill Clinton triggers the FEMA guidelines, and I hope he doesn't, but if he does, essentially our Constitution will be suspendable. If we have our Constitution suspended, if in fact that happens, I hope it doesn't, but ammunition, gun sales be gone, be over with, just zap, just like that. That will be stopped. So friends, it will behoove all of you. We've got a very short window of opportunity here, and hopefully this will not happen. Hopefully our country can proceed under some semblance of law anyway. We don't know. But I would suggest, in fact, go ahead and call Georgia Arms. I'd do it at the first available opportunity. Free phone call, 1-800-624-6861. This is not a test. This is not a rehearsal. I'm just telling you, these are some of the dangers we face. If you're looking to buy a firearm, no matter what it is, if I could afford it, I'd go ahead and do it. If there were some spare magazines out there for whatever gun, for my 1911 or my AR-15 or whatever else, I'd try and pick up an extra one or two. We live in very, very strange times. Friends, we're glad to be here with you. You know, this is a .357 Magnum I'm holding, and these are good guns. This is a Ruger GP100, one of the best that's ever been made. Actually, a .357 Magnum revolver called a medium size, medium frame revolver. And the 125 grain, the .357 Magnum has long been a mainstay as far as a defensive load. Defensive as far as from your home, certainly small to medium-sized game animals. The .357 is still a great cartridge. However, many people, including police and others, feel that the .357, to get the energy levels and the shootability with the lighter bullets, has a little too much penetration. Well, we have a new load that we're experimenting with for our .460 out of the 1911 and the other various guns chambered for our .460 that we think has something to offer. And this is experimental. Let me show it to you. This is a .357 Magnum with a 125 grain jacketed hollow point. Here is our .460 Rowland cartridge, which has about twice the energy and much more momentum than this .357 Magnum. This is a 185 grain bullet in our .460 here. And there's one more. Here's what we're going to show you. This is a new experimental load. This has a 130 grain experimental bullet. Almost the same bullet weight as this .357, but realize in a much wider package. This is important, a much wider package. This .357 bullet can be pushed at around 1,400 or so feet per second from a 4-inch revolver, similar to a .357 SIG, same difference there. Our 130 grain experimental load for our .460, which looks real good, can be pushed at around 2,000 feet per second out of the handgun. Let's see what happens on targets. Let's start. We have, of course, water bottles here lined up together Let's start with our 357 Magnum on these water bottles and see how much shock and penetration we get. Okay, excellent performance, of course, from a full charge smoking 357. Can you see that ray of light? Isn't that the neatest thing? Anyway, it went through, certainly blew up 2 water bottles, and in fact penetrated the third here, broke the third, and the fragments of the bullet are inside here, so it actually went into 3. Let's try the same thing with our new 460 experimental load, see what happens. Notice the first bottle literally disappeared without over-penetration. I rest my case.
Stay tuned for more of The Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, this is the new Georgia Arms 20th anniversary catalog. Of course, has a memorial there to our good friend Jim Clark there on the cover. This is a terrific catalog from the finest ammunition maker in the United States. They have all kinds of great prices on all sorts of ammunition: 243 Winchester, 270s, 7.62 by 39 Russian, all kinds of great stuff. They've even got 308 tracers, 30-06 tracers, all kinds of neat stuff here in this great new Georgia Arms catalog. They have components if you want to load your own ammo, and look here, we've got the Shooting Show and our new 460 Rowland kit on sale as well. Georgia Arms has the best prices for custom grade ammunition that I'm aware of in the United States, and guess what else? They're helping to support our Shooting Show. Friends, give them a call today. Free phone call, free catalog, 1-800-624-6861, 1-800-624-6861 from Georgia Arms, and please remember to tell them that you heard it and saw it here on our program.
This next bit of footage comes to us from the Middle East. We think this is from the Yasser Arafat School of Terrorist Marksmanship, but they really shouldn't start those boys off on 458 Winchester Elephant rifles. Let's see what happens.
Go! Aha! Go! Welcome, goodbye. Well, Bob. What's up? Well, Bob.
Well, friends, we're here in my loading shop, and I tell you, this is such a favorite place of mine because I spend a lot of time out here working on different research and development things that's part of our job, and certainly running experiments, that many of which we pass on to you on the show. There are a lot of things out here in this shop that I wish I could show you, but we can't because some of them are patent pending, and we're going to have to wait on that. And trust me, when we get them available, you will be the first to know. Trust me on this one. Anyway, this is a very important facility, certainly for me, but also what makes it so important, also it can be for you. What makes this so important, here we have my loading machines. And this is a progressive machine from Dillon. We get many times people will call me and say, okay, Johnny, what kind of loading equipment should I get? Well, there are several good machines out there. There have been good machines all these years, but for now, I certainly can say that the Dillon machines are among the very best, and it's my personal favorite. Now, some of you may have Hornady machines that you like. RCBS makes a progressive loader. There are some others. Some people have had good luck with the Lees, but what I like about the Dillon, it has a lifetime warranty. At least that's my understanding of what it is. If you have a problem, you can call them, and the others may be real good too. But I have been inside some of the smaller factories in years past, and I remember I have a friend that works for, not George Arms, but another small company. George Arms is no longer a small company. But I remember I walked up and I saw some Dillon machines on their production line. And he told me, he said, Johnny, you're not going to tell anybody. I said, well, no, I won't tell anybody, and I won't say who it was, but let's just say that it would be a name that many of you will be familiar with, and they had Dillon machines on their production line where they loaded some of their specialty ammo. So anyway, that's how good these things are. The ammunition I load on this Dillon machine, and honestly, it talks about how some people can load 700-800 rounds an hour. This is a 550, and I have to turn the shell plate manually, which for me has some advantages. But realistically speaking, having to load my primer tubes, and I load 100 at a time, of course, normally. I can load 300-400 an hour. I can do that, and probably closer, because I tend to be very careful about my reloads or hand loads, as we all should. But that's honestly what I can get on this machine, and I have complete confidence. One thing, I can look over at each shell case the way I have it set up here and actually see how much power is in that shell. I remember we had one of the largest factories a while back. We had some ammunition, again, not Georgia Arms, but one of the very largest factories. There was no powder in the shell. I mean, it sometimes happens. It's rare, but it sometimes happens. Well, I can look over in there. So if you're looking for a progressive machine, let me recommend the Dillon machines. They have superior service, and these things, our luck with it has just been terrific. And there's no telling how many thousands of rounds this particular loading machine has done. Like I said, for me, I can load 300 to 400 shells an hour. And that, if I go much faster than that, well, I feel like I may get a little sloppy or something. And of course, they make machines that you can load more than that. If you had a bunch of preloaded primer tubes, that would be faster and all that. But I think many of us are probably going to be in this class. Now then, with our situation, politically speaking, shall we say, and with all the anti-gun hysteria coming from primarily the Democrats, none of us knows how long or how difficult it may become to load ammunition, whether you're talking handguns, rifles, or even shotguns. So let me suggest, if you want to get started in loading ammunition, and listen, it is a great hobby. It's part of my job. If I didn't have these loading machines, we couldn't do the show, because the expense would be too great. And how in the world am I going to develop ammunition if I don't have a loading machine? Let's start. If you want to get into loading, let's start with a single stage press. Let's take a look over here at that now. This is called a single stage press, and it does things at one operation at a time. And you can get a set of dies just like this here, and from this set of dies, along with the basic press, the basic mechanism here, you can load ammunition as good as a factory's. Other things you're going to need for learning to reload or starting to reload are things like this powder measure from RCBS, also this powder scale. We see here a powder funnel and a powder trickler here. For a lot of reloading applications, these are very, very important tools, the funnel and the trickler. However, you definitely need a scale and a powder measure. And of course, safety glasses, that we have to go over the basics from time to time, and this is one. Also, something that you must have before you buy anything else are some good loading manuals, such as this one from Accurate Arms, from Hodgdon, and from Sierra. There are other good ones out there, but these are some of the very best, and this needs to be your first purchase. Before you get the loading equipment, you better get a loading manual, and you need to look through it, read it from cover to cover. It has terrific information. If you like guns, you're going to enjoy just reading how the manuals are written.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
An anti-gun researcher has produced an amazing, to himself, finding. The Brady Law does not work. It has had no impact on crime. Jens Ludwig, a Georgetown University scholar, published this finding in the usually rabidly anti-gun journal of the American Medical Association, itself led by anti-self-defense zealots. Ludwig has been, at least until now, one of the academics that Handgun Control Incorporated like to point to in an effort to put a scientific spin on their drive for gun confiscation. Long before Ludwig's research, Dr. John Lott of Yale University Law School had convincingly proven that more guns means less crime. But the impact of Lott's research, although highly regarded by other academics, has been minimized by the media and the congressional anti-self-defense crowd. Ludwig's research, if honesty were in ample supply, would require even Sarah Brady to demand repeal of the Brady Law. But Sarah Brady wants to ban guns, as her continued support for the District of Columbia gun ban proves. We cannot wait for Sarah Brady to admit that her law does not do what she says it will do. Let us be clear. The Brady Law does not, to use the Brady mantra, keep guns out of the wrong hands. We must demand of our lawmakers that they dismantle the entire Brady Law with its dreaded instant registration background check. Criminals get all the guns they want, and the decent, peaceful citizens who buy guns through dealers are getting registered by the instant registration check computers maintained by the FBI in Clarksburg, West Virginia. All we will hear from the likes of Senators Feinstein, Schumer, and company is that we need to register guns and license owners. Since the Brady Law does not work, we should find their agenda rather transparent. The anti-self-defense crowd is not interested in reducing crime. That is only a smokescreen for finding out who has the guns so the government can come and get them. This has been the history of England, Australia, Canada, and New York City. The state of California is poised to do the same. Does anybody really think that the rest of us are not next? Let the politicians know. No more Brady Law, no more instant check, no more gun registration. From Washington, this is Larry Pratt for Gun Owners of America.
Friends, for more information on Gun Owners of America, you can call them. Free phone call, 888-886-GUNS, 888-886-4867. Remember, they're helping to keep us on the air. Let's please support them too.
Now, as you're looking around my shop here, you'll see a variety of different bullet brands here from Speer, there's Nosler, Hornady, and let me give you a word of caution. When a loading manual talks about a particular load, normally it will describe which bullet from which manufacturer they're using. Typically it will. So when you change to another type or another manufacturer bullet, even though it may say 38 caliber, 45 caliber, 44, whatever, 40, you still need to, you don't need to go a maximum load. When you change a component, whether you change primers or if you change even brands of cases, believe it or not, and certainly brands of bullet, you need to back down off that maximum load a little bit and be sure that component is going to work. We found it in our 460 cartridge. Some brands of bullets develop a little higher pressures than other, even though they're the same weight. So all bullets are not created equally. It's like all people are created different, and each manufacturer, the bullets are not set in one particular mold. Even though they say they're a particular size, you will have some different jacket materials, and there may be other variables as well, and some companies are a lot better than others. That's just the way it is. Some manufacturers tend to be a little oversized, some a little under. So in order to, for safety here and for best performance, there's no need pushing your gun beyond the limits it's designed for. No need in that. So you need to be careful about those maximum loads. And if you change a component from a particular load, if it is at maximum, you need to back down a little bit and try it and see how it performs before you load up a bunch of ammunition at maximum loads with a different component, because it may not be desirable in your gun.
Let's take a look at some different bullet types. This is called a lead semi-wad cutter. And the reason it's called a semi-wad cutter is because this bullet has a sharp shoulder. This was very popular with Elmer Keith, the great gun writer, great outdoorsman years ago. In fact, this is one of the Keith type bullets, which is a semi-wad cutter, because you still have bullet in front of it. A true wad cutter would be flat across here just for punching holes in paper. This was a good game bullet, according to Elmer Keith, because he said it punched a large diameter hole, but it had much more penetration due to the longer nose. Notice we have a grease groove here, and this lubricates the bullet as it makes its high pressure trip down the barrel. That's what this is, a grease groove. This is your crimp groove, obviously a revolver bullet, and that grease is very important to prevent leading on this particular application. This next bullet we're looking at is called a semi-jacketed hollow point. Notice it's a lead hollow point bullet with a jacket all the way up on the side there, and you don't see a lot of these, but certainly they have their application. This particular bullet is from Speer. Next we'll look, this is called a full metal jacket, and of course this is one of the Hornady flat points we're fond of using in our 460 for super penetration. But notice this is the rear. Now this is lead back here, but in fact it's a jacket just turned around, actually, the way this works. There are some bullets being produced now that have this completely covered. And let's go on to our next bullet. This is called a jacketed hollow point. Notice how the jacket comes all the way up. It totally encloses the lead portion here, goes all the way up to where the hollow point starts. And let's look at this one. This is a 300 grain jacketed soft point. And this would have some bigger game application, because it will expand some, but not too terribly much. It will expand more, say, than the full metal jacket, but it's still going to have great penetration. And finally, this is one more we want to look at. This is a lead bullet. Let's go ahead and retrieve our lead bullet here if we can. Notice that here is our lead bullet, which has been around for hundreds of years, but this is a little different twist on it. This has a gas check, and this is a brass cup that is pressed on to the rear end of the bullet. Realize when gunpowder burns, it's burning at a couple of thousand degrees. So what happens, the lead will melt. Lead melts at 600 degrees, and when it's subjected to those high temperatures, the lead will actually melt on the base of the bullet and it'll leave some deposits in the barrel, whereas this gas check greatly helps that particular problem. The bullet is gone before anything melts. Actually, this protects the rear end of the bullet from the hot powder gases. This is an excellent concept for high performance lead bullets, is this gas check.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
For folding stocks, for pistol grips, for regular stocks, for replacement stocks, for magazine extension tubes for your shotgun, for magazine replacement springs for your shotgun. How about the executive eye scraper, the executive letter opener, all from Choate Machine & Tool when you call for a free catalog. You can get the executive letter opener, a multi-purpose tool, or the executive eye scraper, a multi-purpose tool, for only your choice, only $2 when you call for a free Choate catalog. You can get both of them for $4, a $10 value. Friends, if you're a shooter or a gun owner, you need one of the Choate Machine & Tool Company catalogs. Call them today, 1-800-972-6390. In Ball Knob, Arkansas, they're helping to support our project. You need one of their catalogs. Again, 1-800-972-6390. And please remember to tell them that you saw it here on our show.
Now, friends, we want to remind you that a broadcast copy of our shooting shows are archived at Jim's House of Videos. He can be reached at area 318-869-0439, or you can find him on the internet at jimshouseofvideos.com. And now for our support group, we want to mention Custom Leatherwork and Saddlery in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Their number is area 225-667-9225. They do all kinds of leather work. Then we have, for your communications needs in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area, you can call Brooks Communication at area 505-888-2929. For our good friend Dennis Crocker, firearms training there in South Carolina. Also for information on the League of the South, you can call Dennis, area 864-587-8722. And for heavy equipment rentals there in Southern California, call Gearlings Equipment Rentals at area 909-354-6476. Friends, we're out of time on today's program. Thank you so much for being with us. We will see you on the next show.